Brene Brown's work is rooted in understanding vulnerability, courage, authenticity, and connection. Her insights are transformative, showing that the path to growth and resilience is often paved with discomfort and uncertainty. Brown emphasizes that embracing vulnerability, rather than avoiding it, leads to deeper connections and a more meaningful life. She teaches that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite fear. This insight encourages individuals to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to face challenges with a heart full of possibility. Authenticity is another key theme in Brown's work. She asserts that being true to oneself requires vulnerability, the courage to show up, and the strength to be imperfect. By embracing imperfection, we allow ourselves to be human and create space for others to do the same. In a world that often values perfection and achievement over authenticity, Brown's message is a call to reclaim our own truths and to lead with empathy. Brown also highlights the importance of shame resilience, teaching that understanding and navigating shame is essential to building confidence and a strong sense of self-worth. She encourages individuals to recognize shame when it arises, to separate it from who they are, and to share it with others in a way that fosters connection rather than disconnection. This approach, she believes, is crucial for personal growth and for cultivating a compassionate and supportive environment, both within ourselves and in our relationships. Vulnerability is the core of connection, and Brown urges us to lean into it, even when it feels risky. She reminds us that to experience joy, love, and creativity, we must first be willing to experience discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. In this sense, vulnerability is not a weakness, but rather a strength that opens the door to deeper experiences and meaningful relationships. When we embrace vulnerability, we open ourselves up to a life filled with rich, authentic connections. Brown's teachings on leadership are also deeply motivating. She argues that great leaders are those who are willing to be vulnerable, who cultivate trust, and who encourage others to show up as their authentic selves. These leaders create environments where people can take risks, learn from failure, and contribute their ideas and talents without fear of judgment. Such leadership fosters creativity, innovation, and collective strength. Throughout her work, Brown underscores the importance of self-compassion and the necessity of treating ourselves with kindness, especially during times of struggle. She teaches that being gentle with ourselves in moments of failure or disappointment is essential for moving forward. By embracing self-compassion, we allow ourselves the grace to make mistakes, learn from them, and continue growing without the burden of harsh self-criticism. At the heart of Brown's philosophy is the idea that belonging is a fundamental human need. She believes that true belonging happens when we are brave enough to show up as ourselves, without pretending to be someone we are not. It requires a deep sense of self-acceptance and the willingness to be vulnerable with others. In this sense, true belonging is not about fitting in, but about standing firm in our authentic selves while building meaningful, supportive connections with those around us. Brown's work challenges us to rethink how we define success and happiness. Rather than measuring our worth by external achievements or the approval of others, she encourages us to focus on the internal qualities that lead to a fulfilling and meaningful life. This shift in perspective can be empowering, as it allows us to define our own success and take control of our personal growth. One of the most powerful lessons from Brown's research is the idea that we are all worthy of love and belonging, regardless of our flaws, mistakes, or imperfections. This message is a reminder that our worth is inherent and not dependent on meeting certain standards or expectations. By accepting our own worthiness, we are more likely to extend that same acceptance to others, creating a cycle of compassion and empathy that can transform our communities. Brown also emphasizes the importance of courage in navigating difficult conversations, especially those that involve conflict or vulnerability. She teaches that leaning into discomfort and having the courage to speak our truth can lead to healing and growth. This process, while challenging, is a necessary part of building deeper, more authentic relationships with others. In her work, Brown challenges us to rethink how we view failure. Instead of seeing failure as something to be avoided, she encourages us to see it as an opportunity for growth and learning. By reframing failure in this way, we allow ourselves to take risks, try new things, and approach life with a sense of curiosity rather than fear. Brown's approach to personal growth is grounded in the belief that we are always evolving. She encourages us to embrace change and to view our journey as a process rather than a destination. This mindset allows us to celebrate our progress, no matter how small, and to remain open to the possibilities that lie ahead. Her work has also highlighted the significance of wholehearted living, which she defines as living with courage, compassion, and connection. Wholehearted living is about embracing our vulnerabilities, living in alignment with our values, and seeking to create meaningful relationships. It's about choosing to show up and engage with life, even when it feels messy or imperfect. Brene Brown's teachings are deeply motivational because they remind us of our inherent strength, our capacity for growth, and our ability to create meaningful change in our lives and in the world around us. She inspires us to step into our power, to embrace vulnerability as a path to courage, and to cultivate deep, authentic connections with others. Her message is one of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of love and belonging. Brene Brown's research illuminates the profound impact that vulnerability, courage, and empathy have on every aspect of our lives. She reminds us that growth occurs when we allow ourselves to be imperfect and real. Far too often, people avoid vulnerability, fearing judgment, rejection, or failure. However, Brown emphasizes that it is through these very moments of vulnerability that we access true courage. She shows us that by opening ourselves to discomfort and the unknown, we can transform ourselves and our relationships in ways we never thought possible. Courage, as Brown defines it, is not a trait we are born with, it's a practice we build over time. Each small act of bravery, whether it's speaking our truth or stepping into a new challenge, strengthens our capacity for more. She challenges us to step outside our comfort zones, even when it feels daunting. Through courage, we find the resilience to face life's difficulties head-on and to embrace the uncertainty of the journey. What is often overlooked is the fact that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness but a profound strength. It's easy to see vulnerability as something to hide, but Brown insists that it's through being vulnerable that we create the deep connections we yearn for. The act of sharing our stories, even the parts we might consider broken or incomplete, has the potential to foster a sense of belonging and solidarity with others. The more we embrace vulnerability, the more we become free to live wholeheartedly. Brown's work calls on us to be empathetic not only to others but to ourselves. We are often the hardest on ourselves, holding ourselves to standards that are impossible to meet. Practicing self-compassion is critical in overcoming the barriers we create between ourselves and others. By being kinder to ourselves in moments of struggle, we can find the emotional resilience to move forward and continue growing. Self-compassion allows us to see ourselves as worthy of love and belonging, regardless of our perceived flaws or shortcomings. This sense of self-worth is at the heart of Brown's teachings. Too often, people tie their sense of value to external accomplishments or the approval of others. She reminds us that our worth is intrinsic and not dependent on our success, appearance, or societal expectations. When we internalize this truth, we unlock the freedom to pursue what truly matters to us, not what others think we should do. Brown's research also delves into the importance of building trust in relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues. Trust is the foundation of connection, and it can only thrive in environments where vulnerability is nurtured. She teaches us that trust is built through small, consistent acts of honesty, reliability, and openness. These acts may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they accumulate, forming the bedrock of meaningful, lasting relationships. As Brown explores leadership, she sheds light on the idea that vulnerability and authenticity are qualities of strong leaders. Great leaders don't hide their struggles or weaknesses, instead, they model courage by embracing their own vulnerability. This fosters an environment where others feel safe to be themselves, take risks, and contribute their ideas without fear of judgment. In turn, this openness leads to innovation, creativity, and a deeper sense of community within organizations. Her message also speaks to the idea of collective courage and the importance of creating spaces where people can show up as their true selves. As we become more aware of the power of vulnerability, we realize that it's not just about individual growth, it's about fostering a culture where others feel safe to do the same. Brown encourages us to support each other in embracing our imperfections and to celebrate the uniqueness of each person's journey. This collective courage creates a ripple effect that transforms communities, workplaces, and society as a whole. In terms of personal growth, Brown highlights that we are constantly evolving, and that evolution is not always a linear path. There are setbacks, mistakes, and failures, but these do not define us. Rather, they are opportunities for learning and growth. She urges us to adopt a mindset of curiosity about our own experiences, allowing ourselves to view challenges as chances to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Another key concept in Brown's work is the notion of belonging. True belonging, she argues, is not about fitting in or meeting the expectations of others. It's about being fully yourself, even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable. When we stand in our authenticity, we create the conditions for real connection. She teaches us that we do not need to change who we are to be accepted or loved. In fact, it's only when we show up as our true selves that we can form the deep, meaningful bonds that lead to a sense of belonging. Brown also addresses the significance of failure in our lives. Far too often, we equate failure with inadequacy, but she encourages us to redefine failure as a learning experience. The fear of failure often holds us back from pursuing our passions or taking risks, but when we embrace failure as a natural part of growth, we free ourselves to take chances and explore new paths. The willingness to fail is a direct reflection of our courage and our commitment to living fully. By embracing discomfort, vulnerability, and uncertainty, we move toward wholehearted living, a concept that Brown teaches as being in alignment with our values, acting with integrity, and living with an open heart. Wholehearted living is not about perfection, it's about being brave enough to show up, regardless of the outcome. It's about embracing the messiness of life and still choosing to engage with it, to contribute, and to love deeply. Ultimately, Brene Brown's teachings encourage us to embrace our imperfections and to recognize that it is through these imperfections that we find our true strength. We are all worthy of love, belonging, and joy, no matter how imperfect we may seem. By stepping into vulnerability, practicing courage, and showing compassion, we can lead lives full of connection, purpose, and authenticity. These are the practices that create a life worth living, not only for ourselves but for those we share our journey with.